Hi, Nisha. I'm Sam. I
Hi
haven't
there.
met you yet, but I'm so excited about this panel. I have a SaaS PaaS play myself, so I just I'm chomping at the bit to hear from these heavy hitters right now because we've got quite a crowd. I'll let you introduce everybody because I realized I was kind of introducing people and maybe you want to introduce them. It's your panel, so I'm gonna leave you to it, and I'm really excited that you're all here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, I'm very excited as well. I think this is going to be a great panel. So my name is Nisha Burton. I have a creative agency called Reflective, and we specialize in immersive technologies and creating custom experiences for our clients. I'm representing a bit of the tech agnostic side of things because we really do use these various solutions depending on our clients' needs. So I'm really excited to speak with these three and dig into PaaS, SaaS, and native browser support and really see what the differences are and where the possibilities and solutions lay in these various approaches. So with me is Casper from Zapper, and he's going to be representing the PaaS side of things and talking about how turnkey solutions can really help make it easy and economical to get started delivering immersive content. Next, we have Ben from Adobe, who's representing the SaaS side of things. And, we're all very familiar with Adobe, but having these tools to create experiences and for development and what that looks like and really how that can help in creating these XR experiences. And then we have Nick from Active Theory, who's going to be representing the native browser solutions, the bespoke solutions, which are, require a little bit more of investment, but really what can be done within those custom coding experiences. So I'm really excited to start talking to all of you and just hearing about your thoughts. So the first question that I have is I did a little intro of you, but I'd love for you to intro your specific approach and how you think that what scenarios are really best for businesses to approach and look at these different ways of creating WebXR experiences. So let's start off with Ben. Let us know what you think about that.
Sure thing, and great to be here. Thanks for the introduction. We at Adobe care about making creatives productive. That's kind of the MO of lots of our products in Creative Cloud. So, Photoshop for photo editing, Premiere for video, After Effects, and the list goes on. And people here are probably pretty familiar. This also includes mediums like augmented reality, which are emerging, and we're at the beginning end of the journey, surely, in how we help people be productive in this very, very new medium. I know it's been around a long time in sort of life terms. I, was at Blipper previously, and I've definitely been talking about augmented reality and mixed reality for around a decade or so. At the same time, the tech platforms are growing like step by step by step, and new capabilities that make the medium really worthwhile are only coming online piece by piece by piece. And particularly, I have a focus on things that allow the medium to be the medium it needs to be, differentiated from other mediums. So, things that would make you want to have an experience in augmented reality instead of would just want to watch a video or a 3D video or a 3D video that pretends to be augmented reality, or to watch a video of someone else having a live augmented reality experience, but not having to want to have the experience yourself. So we spend a lot of time thinking about that. In terms of software as a service and sort of Creative Cloud subscriptions and things, it's important to state that Aero, our augmented reality creation tooling, is kind of a freely available right now. We don't require subscription to use it, but there are adjacent offerings from Adobe, like the Adobe Substance 3D package, which we just announced in the summer. And for that, there is a subscription, and you get a range of the parts of asset creation that can go into augmented reality experiences, texturing. There's a beta of Modeler, which is a VR and desktop modeling creation tool. And so in terms of what this can do for businesses, like subscribing to software products allows a kind of a longer range relationship where you can hope to have access to the latest creative tooling for the medium at a given time. And I wouldn't say that we're completely there yet. We've got some features. We definitely don't have all the features that people would want to do all the things possible in the medium today, and we certainly don't have the ones that aren't really possible on the current hardware platforms, from the OS providers. So the good thing about a subscription model is that you can get the latest software with the latest features on an ongoing basis, and as things like WebXR start to bed in as standards and become mature, it's something we're watching very actively to try and have the right offering to allow creatives to be productive in the nascent web medium of AR. Yeah.
That's a great answer. I, as a creative myself, have used Adobe products a lot. And I really do appreciate the ability that it provides. I mean, I've played around with Arrow as well for creatives from various backgrounds and technological skill levels to really start getting in there and experimenting with augmented reality, experimenting with these tools. And I think that's really
Totally.
plus of it, is being able to, because there can be a big barrier to entry, especially for creatives that are coming in not from a coding background, not from a technological background, but really the infusion of creativity into this medium is so important to push it forward. And so having that ability to just jump in and start playing around with tools that are familiar, that's the thing with software as a service, and with the Adobe suite of offerings, is that it has a consistency throughout. And so if you've used some Adobe products, you're familiar with how to work around and how to navigate and everything. So definitely, appreciate that angle of it. And I think for people that are listening that are maybe a little more intimidated to get into the technology, playing around with Arrow is a great way to kind of start familiarizing yourself. So thanks for being here, Ben.
Thank you.
Yeah, up next, let's have Nick. Love to hear from you.
Sure. Thanks, Nisha. Thanks for the intro as well. Great to be here. I think the best way for me to kind of describe what we do in the background and how we get where we are is just like through pushing web technology. We're a web-focused company. We make all our own tools. Everything's built in JavaScript to make our experiences. We have our own framework that we've been working on for the last 9 years. And everything is focused on richer, deeper, but more accessible web experiences. And that kind of started with the death of Flash, where we were like, oh, how are we going to animate now on the web? And we said, okay, well, let's do it ourselves. We use our own JavaScript tools to make animation ourselves. And then, that's how we were able to make cool experiences 9-10 years ago. Fast forward today, it's like, okay, what's the cool stuff? Like, how can we do, more engaging, more cool content today? It's like more 3D, more immersive, more platforms, VR, XR, obviously mobile, and having gracefully degrading experiences that people can access all throughout the world on all different devices, but not kind of fixed to, say, PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. You just need access to the web and you can have a great experience. So that's what drives us, connecting people through those experiences. And we've found, I guess, it motivates us, and we like to do that using our own tools because we can have control over our own ecosystem. And we've found that that's kind of the best way for us to progress our experiences. I guess that's on the positive side. We're able to kind of quickly collaborate with our clients to create an amazing experience according to their needs, their requirements. We can do things, custom experiences very quickly. We're also very reactive though. So we don't have like a product up and running that we are able to, I suppose the product is the framework, but it has to be flexible enough so that we can react to the next custom build that we're going to create. So we end up with this kind of pipeline of features that we're constantly upgrading in R&D and deploying and adding to as we go. And we have some great new features that we're working on to bring experiences this year as well, launching. And obviously, the last thing I should probably touch on is the pandemic has set off virtual events, as we all know. So that, in a sense, was an opportunity for us to further invest in our tools so that we can create great virtual experiences. And we did that through a product that we created called Dreamwave, which is available VR, XR, mobile. We can bring all, like I said, we can bring all the attendees together via the web. They can have a headset on, or they can, be using their mobile device kind of, while they're on a trip somewhere or whatever, and they can all connect together. It doesn't matter. I think I guess that's what motivates us, and that's kind of what brings us to where we are now.
That's beautiful, Nick. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think you're bringing such an important point in, which is that what really excites me about WebXR specifically is that ability to reduce friction and to really get these technologies into people's hands, to have them experience it regardless of their, what technology they have. If they have their computer, if they have their phone, if they have a VR headset, really being able to introduce people to these spaces through that. And then, talking from your angle about how, yes, there is not just a plug and play way to create the experiences, but having, I looked at your website and you have so many great case studies, and really having that customization. There's something to be said for that, for certain clients that are looking for that level, and really being able to get in there and create these memorable experiences through custom solutions. So thanks for chiming in with that. Casper, I saw you unmuted. Did you want to chime in about that too, or are you just ready for your turn?
Probably a bit of both. I mean, great to hear, Ben and Nick's very succinct summaries there, and interesting that they're all sort of 10-year arcs, if you like. And I guess we have a similar sort of decade in AR, and I think it remains the case that it is very much a marathon rather than a sprint. And lots has been learnt over that period, but still lots to do. From our side at Zapper, I guess we've always had this rather, in hindsight, lofty ambition of democratizing AR, to try and build this platform that could be robust and scalable and affordable, and I guess really appeal to this next generation of designers and developers who are looking to get into sort of spatial storytelling and understand what the value was for that for end users and for businesses. But I guess what became very quickly apparent is that there are an enormous amount of constituent parts that go into making that sort of AR tech stack. And I guess, clearly back then it was more native. Now it is more sort of web-based. And so I guess our approach has been to go, well, how do we put together a suite of underlying scanning, detection, and tracking algorithms that then have a separate layer of then authoring and publishing tools and support for other SDKs out there, and serving and hosting solutions should people require it, and analytics elements, again, if people want that piece, and then different methods of distribution. So I guess, to use a terrible kind of analogy, I guess we almost look at those as different layers in the AR cake. And you can kind of pick and choose which layers you like, because some people might decide that they want to self-host, and that's fine, you can do that, or they might go actually really comfortable and competent with existing tools to create those, use those content libraries, and don't want to learn a new tool, be that kind of 3JS and Play Canvas, Babylon A-Frame, great stuff from Adobe, etc. But still be able to access the underlying computer vision. And I guess the basic principle has always been, how do you allow creators to focus on making the content well and once, but be able to distribute to as many platforms, as they can, be that sort of natively or through the browser. And so, it's interesting. I do find it's a using the cake analogy, it's a very thin slice between PaaS and SaaS in my book. But we find that some people want to, I guess, eat the whole cake. Maybe others just like the jam and want to make their own, whatever, strawberry sponge cake. And we don't really care which. I'm going to stop the cake analogy. Don't worry, that is not a running theme for long that.
Just not fruitcake.
Yeah, just not. We can agree on that. So I think it's, the challenges then when it comes to WebXR is how do we then in that kind of build well and once piece, what do you do when you can't access things like ARKit and ARCore, and okay, then you have to build your own sort of set of world tracking algorithms, etc., to support that. And so I guess that's what we do, to actually go, what are then the missing tools that exist there that we need to support in order to make sure we still have that central tenet of democratization and being scalable and affordable, etc. And I think, linked to that democratization piece is, I guess, this notion then that, we do want to move to a place where, I guess, the use of AR is seen as something that can be always on, and that people are thinking more about what is their camera strategy than just their AR project. And that, again, sort of means that you need a suite of tools that can allow for all the different types of experiences that an organization might want, because some of those might be external marketing, but some of them might be learning and training and development. They might be about remote assistance. There's so many different things that you might want to do with a camera strategy. So I guess the platform play, if you like, is let's try and vertically create a stack that people can pick and choose from in order to meet the needs of their requirements.
That's a great answer. Yeah. Oh, Ben, did you want to chime in with something? Go ahead.
No, I just think it's a really good description about the kind of a la carte analogy where people need different pieces depending on the use case. I love the breakdown of the diversity of use cases that we see. Really fascinated by the gaps between face-facing and world-facing experiences, for example, and how often people approaching the medium from a commercial perspective are, they aren't bound to specific use cases as they first approach, and then they start to get deeper opinions as they learn about limitations, advantages of the different pieces, and about deployment things, like you say, Casper. And so, yeah, it's I think if there was a piece that would be really interesting to focus on, it's the distribution stuff you mentioned, particularly regarding WebXR. It is the dream to be able to kind of publish everywhere, and there are such different capabilities on different platforms, and so it's interesting to wonder what approaches that customers of the space should be taking that best engages with that. And I suppose one of the things we'd say is that if you want to distribute to lots and lots of platforms in the long run, it's probably good that you support the formation of standards, and that you're, as a customer of the space, you're also interested in trying to find standards that form and support efforts to form standards so that wide distribution becomes possible in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very true. I think, and again, I'm no engineer and no technologist, so I'm definitely speaking at the edge and limit of my understanding. But clearly, one of the things for WebXR is we're having sort of tunnel in to a degree to try and get to create some of this kind of technologies that so we can support AR well in the web. At some point, trying to get to some of those lower level APIs would be incredibly helpful, and I guess that will come through some greater standardization, over time, and that's the exciting bit. But I was going to say, one of the other things is, I'm a great believer in that, simple is beautiful, and also, that we know through our own internal team, but many others, that they can do incredible things with the Adobe suite. And it's not that big a leap to then give them the tools to be able to understand how that might work in AR. Now, whether it's worth doing in AR, I think was the point you were making, which I think is really interesting about, don't just do it for AR's sake, have a purpose, reason why you're doing it in there. But I think it's, I've always found that, once you show people something in AR, they have that amazing kind of, wow, this is amazing. Then they sort of think of a million things they might be able to do, and it almost bamboozles them a bit, and then they get nervous about where they should start.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really important point too, that's kind of leading into the next question, which is, both with like client expectations or business expectations, how do you set it? Because it's true with WebXR, more than like native apps, there are certain limitations just for what is able to be accessed, you know, tracking, all of those things. And so from your different angles, how do you set expectations properly for what can be done in this space so people aren't disappointed and saying, oh, AR, you know, web AR, I tried that, it sucked. So maybe each of you could speak to that a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, Nick, do you want to start on that one from your perspective?
Sure. Yeah, we do get a lot of, I suppose we're face to face with our clients and trying to kind of guide them through what the ideal experience is on a daily basis. So I would say that if a client were to come to us saying we want an AR experience or we want a WebXR experience, we're kind of going, oh, warning already. Yes. Because it's like, why are you thinking of this to start with as just AR or as just WebXR? Because the way we try and approach it is that's just another window into the overall experience that you could have that we can create for you. It exists on the web, so it should exist in all of these different touch points. And then people, clients and their customers are not, their expectations are kind of managed. And I suppose you can use that almost as an upsell or as like an added benefit. Oh, did you realize you can put a headset on and you can also experience it with a headset? Or you can also, there's an AR feature that this experience also has, you know? And then the world that they're trying to build, this virtual experience or, you know, like a virtual kind of engagement that they're building with their clients just has so many more opportunities added to it rather than just, you know, just kind of siloing it to start with.
I love that point. That's something that we talk with our clients a lot about too, is that really the technology should disappear to the experience itself. And so it's not so much about, oh, I want AR because it's flashy and it's cool and it's hip right now. It's like, what is the experience you're creating? What is the story you're telling? And then selecting the proper mediums to tell that story, and even having a transmedia approach where you have various pieces of the story happening on these various platforms. So thanks for that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to add, just while you were describing that, Nisha, that when we were building apps for the App Store as well, we were constantly talking to our clients like, why don't you just have a website and an app? Like, just have both, you know? And then you just get everybody can jump in. And you remember those days when you had like, oh, it's only on iOS, you know, you can't get it on Android. Like, that's so frustrating, I think. And it's just, don't frustrate your users, you know, enable them to get info everywhere.
Yeah, I guess I'm a big fan of treating experiences holistically in general, like Nick and everyone's been saying. And so even if you think about a cinema experience, it's not only the pixels that show up kind of in the big box. It's even when you're sitting there, the kind of social experience that surrounds it, but it's also the smell of popcorn and the entry and the fact that you made a thing of making an event to go there. And obviously, you know, different in the living room, and there are lots of overlaps between different kinds of scenarios. But I think with a HoloLens, I'd echo that thinking about all the different kind of media needs that providing a whole experiences for people, you know, can provide for. Like think about people want to have narration for this. People want to kind of enter the story, but they don't want to do AR scanning immediately right as they land in an experience. They might be reticent to put on a headset before they're given a description of what they're about to go through, or there might be physical aspects to the story that are, you know, really important in how the total experience goes. And so, yeah, it's sort of, it's really important that people understand that AR is not particularly fit for like, let's just throw our customers in there, right? Today, particularly, like, and particularly if you want to throw all your customers in there and they're on Android and iOS, and some of them are willing to install apps and some of them want in-browser experiences only. it's going to be really hard to even achieve it. And if you do, there'll be frictions all over the place. It's not like a standardized, simple experience pattern for all kinds of experiences and all kinds of users. And so it's trying to take a world where basically customers come with expectations of like, okay, so it'll be like Minority Report crossed with the Matrix, and we're just going to shove people in there, and then slowly elaborating, actually in the technology story, though the movie came first, that moment is in some future timeline, and maybe not even a future timeline we want. In the Matrix, maybe it's dystopian, and in the Minority Report, maybe UX designers think it's a terrible idea. And so it's kind of trying to calibrate expectations for what sets people up for success by thinking about the whole, and by talking about current limitations and trying to mitigate those and make it all simpler despite the heterogeneity is kind of the meaningful approach right now. Casper,
Yeah, no, gosh, I agree with all that. I think there's only two things I'd add to what Nick and Ben have very clearly and cleverly said, which is I guess we take two approaches. One is always start talking about what is the context of that exact moment that you are asking someone to do that AR experience, and how do you control it? Because everything, as we know, looks great in a beautifully lit office with a phone that is being really lightly sort of nudged in the right direction to create this wonderful AR experience in front of you. That's just not how any normal individual uses their device. And so really, yes, we want the tech to disappear into the background, but actually, what is going on? To your cinema example with the acoustics and what kind of occlusions going on, what happens in time of day, what's all these other environmental things that have way bigger impact on whether someone has a good experience or not. What their network connectivity is, what market are they in, all that sort of good stuff. So there's definitely a bit which is really try and imagine that is you in your consumers or your users' shoes. Would you even be bothered to do this? And if you did do it, would it be good? And actually it's quite, just takes a bit of peeling back some of the layers of excitement to go, is that going to work on those devices? I think there is another bit, especially with things in WebXR, that there is quite an important checklist of stuff to go through for people to be aware of, just in terms of, what does that mean when it comes to social sharing on different devices, and where are there actually still some bits of friction on iOS versus Android, and you've got to go through all your kind of legal and cookie notices and sort of data analytics and data. Yes, you do have to have an orientation and camera permission, and that is going to come up, and all these other bits that you just have to go away from the beautiful clickbait video. I'm sure there are some will be come out later from the latest Apple announcement that will look wonderful. And we'll all be sent those going, I want one of those. And then go, okay, now let's think about how that works for everyone in every market, on every device, in every situation, and start from there.
It'd be wonderful if Apple could show the videos and insist it worked in Safari exactly as it worked in the videos, for example.
We're under oath that you will not put the address bar on the bottom, like I've heard rumors that is going to happen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That scares the crap out of me, because I really like just sinking my teeth into these problems that you guys are all describing and things, and just those little, you're kind of at the whim of whoever is the god in some campus somewhere who thinks that they are going to set the tone for the next wave of however this UI UX should be on a browser, and now your buttons are all over the place, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Your scroller is inverted.
It does keep everyone here employed. Those kind of changes. So we're not entirely wanting everything to only stay the same, but yeah, no, it's really difficult at the beginning in particular when really big things are moving around very fast.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to make it past that little hump where it's like somebody wants something cool. You're like, finally, somebody wants something cool, and then you're like, but like, who is going to be left behind with this cool thing if we do this? So, I mean, you guys brought up so many incredible points, and thank you, Nisha, for your thoughtful questions and for this incredible panel. Wow. Like, Nick, I just have to say, like, I'm just like such a fan of what you've done with Active Theory. And like, that was just such a big moment for me as somebody who's been trying for 5 years to put virtual performers into the WebXR space. So thank you, and incredible to hear from all of you. And we have something really exciting now. We're going to have
everyone.